Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. A couple of quick announcements here before I get started. Number one, I was out of town for like 4 days and then I helped a friend move, so I haven't touched content in a few days, and so I'm a little behind on stuff. So a lot of you left some awesome comments that normally I would respond to, but I'm going to just kind of keep producing content and ignore the comments for those last 3 videos, so like my apologies there, but I kind of have to dig myself out of the content hole that I put myself into. Number two, I will be taking July 4th off just as a day to kind of catch up and do some recording and get a few videos ahead. So no Monday content. Number three, to make up for that, there is still Phil content. It's just not on my channel. I will be on Smooth Brain EDH. That will premiere on the 2nd. So by the time this video goes live, that video will already be live. And you can see me playing some Zonksha EDH. Okay, let's go ahead and just talk about today's video. Today I will be Today I will be doing a viewer's choice video, courtesy of Doug. Now, this was a list that was in the 5.0 decklist dump. It's very similar conceptually to the Orzhov Dreadnought lists that I've brewed for this channel and played a couple of times. The general idea is to use cards like Hushbringer, Torpor Orb, and Tocatli Honor Guard to stop creatures from doing their triggers, and then we can go and use Phyrexian Dreadnought as a giant beater. This version specifically does something that I haven't done before, and something that people asked me to do the last time I played this, which is play Urza Saga. Yes, I know, people asking me to play Urza Saga. It's weird, right? Now, the final ability of Urza Saga here is going to let us tutor up our Phyrexian Dreadnought. And most of the other versions of this deck that I played have played things like Eaters of Days or some of the cards from the Hunted cycle so that they could go and have a high enough threat density. But the idea here is that Urza Saga is your redundancy for the plan. The other way we can just cheat Phyrexian Dreadnought into play is with Scroll of Fate. And we can manifest it face down by tapping this and then turn it up for 1 mana. And your opponent never really knows if that face down card is a Phyrexian Dreadnought or not, so they have to live in fear. Now, I do have a problem with this deck list as it stands, and I think I'm going to make a change or two before this league begins. I think this deck is extremely greedy when it comes to lands. So this is 23 lands, right? Like, let's take a look at the white mana count here. It's actually exceptionally low. There are 8 white sources in this deck. Aether Vial kind of makes it like 12, but I think this deck has gone just way too far down the greed rabbit hole, and that needs to be backed off. Otherwise, like, this deck is going to just like not cast all of its spells consistently. So I think the Rishadan ports need to go here. I don't think Rishadan Port works well with the mana base of this deck list. Urza Saga is a disappearing land, and if you have Urza Saga, you want to be funneling mana into that, not into Rishadan Port. And Rishadan Port is often bad in Ancient Tomb decks, because like if you have Ancient Tomb and Rishadan Port as your 2 lands, like it would cost you 2 life to tap a single land, and that's just like really not where you want to be. So I think these are going to become plains, and I think the Flagstones of Trocare is also supposed to become a plains. It's in the sideboard so that like you can have the synergy with Cataclysm and sacrifice 1 of your lands and get 1 back. But like with a singleton Flagstones, that is probably not going to come up very often, especially when the Cataclysm is in the sideboard, whereas like a Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon is. So I'm going to turn these 4 lands into basics, and I think that will help out. That will add 3 more white sources to the deck. Will still be a little light in terms of white mana, but I think at that point we're bordering on something that's acceptable. The thing with this deck is you don't necessarily need the white source just like super early, but like you do want it. The other thing is, like, you can probably go down a couple of Wastelands for more white sources, too. And if you do that, cards like Deafening Silence become more castable. and like it becomes a little more realistic for you to play something like a Sanctum Prelate as a turn 3 card. So yeah, that's kind of where my head is at for this deck list. So I'm going to make some minor changes to the mana base, I guess, and then I'll go ahead and run this one through a league. All right, if you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. That's one of the easiest ways to support my content for free, and if you have something fun that you want to see on the channel, or you want to try this one out, that information will always be available in the video description. Let's battle. All right, round 1 opening hand here does not have enough mana. This is a pile of cards that does not really do anything. Would I rather go to 5 than keep this hand? Like, this is a hand that just has no game plan. It hopes to draw both sides of the combo. I don't think this one's keepable. Like, I can't really just, like, expect a Mother of Runes to win a game on its own. Let's go to 5. On 5, this probably has to be acceptable. I'll throw back an Ancient Tomb and one of these 2 cards. I think I'm just going to keep this Swords to Plowshares. Like, I have a tiny itty bitty bit of life gain in the deck, or sorry, in hand already with Hushbringer. Swords to Plowshares is dead a lower percentage of the time, but in the cases where we are playing against a creature, the Swords to Plowshares, like a creature deck, the Swords to Plowshares is extremely important. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just throw the other Mother of Runes out here this turn. It's less impactful. Now, let me rephrase that. It's less good in terms of my mana efficiency, but it's more impactful in terms of, like, the game if it resolves. Yeah, and both Mother of Runes ate Force of Will, which tells me my opponent pretty likely doesn't have removal. Or oh, yeah. Okay. This is a good time to have an Urza Saga. So, like, my opponent has missed a land drop, has Brainstorm locked themselves, and I have dropped Urza Saga into play, which threatens a Dreadnought in a couple of turns. That's real good. All right, let's see if that Okay, that Brainstorm got them out of the Brainstorm lock. But that's about it. Now, my Urza Saga Construct tokens are going to be small, but that's not what I care about, right? This Phyrexian Dreadnought that I'm about to make is going to be disgusting. My opponent is just, like, absolutely not firing on all cylinders here. Oh, no. There's another Brainstorm. Okay, and another missed land drop. Such is life. Alright, there's a 1/1 construct. Let's activate that again. There's a 2/2 construct. Let's search with Urza's Saga. There's a Phyrexian Dreadnought. No opportunity for my opponent to remove that there. Go to combat. Bash in for 4. And hope we randomly don't get, like, Terminused. Did not get Terminused. Prismatic Ending on the Dreadnought, sure. I could Swords to Plowshares that if I want to gain the life, but I think I'll just hold these cards in hand. Just don't want to leave me with the screenshot victory. All right, that's fine. Our deck did its thing, and my opponent's deck stumbled at the same time. So, like, our opponent stumbling, meaning my mold of 5 wasn't super punishing for me. So I imagine that Scroll of Fate is pretty hot here. Just the ability to go and really turn every extra land drop into cards is nice. We didn't see that many cards from my opponent. We did see, I believe, a Narset pitch to Force of Will. Yeah, Narset and Baleful Strix pitch to Force of Will. So given that, what do I or don't I want? I'll keep the Pithing Needle in the deck, I think. The Trample is nice for Baleful Strix. The Swords to Plowshares is also kind of nice for Baleful Strix. I'm probably not going to sideboard that much. My questions is, like, do I want Torpor Orbs over Hushbringer and Tocatli Arnagard because they are less susceptible to removal? Do I want something like Sanctum Prelate or Cataclysm as well? It's, like, definitely okay to play Cataclysm here. I think I'll bring that in. I don't think I'm going to mess around with Sanctum Prelate. That feels like it's more for the combo matchups. What don't I want? Can potentially cut a land. Wasteland's not going to be super good here. Don't need that Canonist, really. I think I'll cut one Wasteland. And then I'm not really sure on the last card. I think I'm just going to trim one Mother of Runes on the draw. Like, it's still removal bait. It still, like, absolutely does the thing. But, like, once my opponent has access to more sweepers from the sideboard, becomes a little bit less attractive. Like, every Supreme Verdict just gets more and more value as I stack up more creatures. So this is an opening hand. It has a redundant vial for if Prismatic Ending is a thing. It has a nice 1-drop and a nice 2-drop. But I'm not really executing my game plan. And if my opponent has 2 pieces of interaction for these vials, this hand does nothing a good portion of the time. I think I'd rather just keep a safer hand. And this probably qualifies. The question is which card goes back. And I think it might just be Wasteland. I think I'm good with that. This at least has a Scroll of Fate to start with. Like, if I draw a Dreadnought, I have something real to do with it, which was not true with a bunch of the other hands. Wasteland would have been good there. Okay, sure. And is it a Prismatic Ending? It is, and this sort of situation is why I was, like, a little nervous about keeping the other hand. Oh, opponent even has Baubles in there, sure. Oh. There's a Hushbringer. I just want to jam Scroll of Fate. I think I do. It's my most mana-efficient play here. And it's one that, like, absolutely will eat a Force of Will if my opponent has one. It's like, just making instant speed 2/2s is scary. I can do the turn up at instant speed, which means it's kind of neat if I, like, manifest a Mother of Runes face down. There is a Prismatic Ending. Alright, do I want to cheat Hushbringer or Mom into play? Probably Mom. Alright, so I have a face down Mom. And opponent has another Bauble, sure. I wonder what exactly the Baubles are in there for. Like, is this growing the graveyard for Murktide Regent? Is there some recursion? Ooh, I like that. Alright. So, I'm going to use my mana in sort of an awkward way here, like, because I have this Ancient Tomb. I'm going to put this Hushbringer in play. Ooh, it has to be the colored mana. It's not just a generic. Okay. Then I guess I am turning this sideways. I'll just hit for 2. I don't know why I thought I could pay colorless mana for that. Alright. There is a Teferi, that's fine. Oh, fuck, alright, I figured out. It's Displacer Kitten. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, so this Hushbringer thing is actually going to be pretty good here then, huh? Cataclysm also looks kind of hot. Am I just jamming Cataclysm? I think I'll air quotes waste a point of damage first. And attack this Teferi and see if my creature eats a Source of Plowshares. Does. Alright. Are we jamming? I think we're jamming. Like, opponent has 3 cards in hand. It needs to be Force of Will plus blue card. Do I want to keep Karakas or Plains? Honestly, I think I just want to keep Plains. Like, I have another Karakas in the deck that I can draw, and it would be extremely awkward if I did draw that. I don't like that opponent just has more mana there. Like, I was really hoping to stick them on one land. It's fine. Like, this is a pretty strong setup for the rest of the game. Oh man, they had so much mana. That's unfortunate. We're gonna see another Teferi come down. We are. Kind of expected that. Like, Teferi is probably a 4 of in my opponent's deck if they are a Displacer Kitten combo deck like they are now looking to be. So let's finish off that Teferi. And then I can play a Mom while holding up Swords to Plowshares. Ooh. That's so good. Obviously, I will remove that immediately. Alright. I have my combo in hand. It will be good. I do need to draw another land. Hey, there it is. So there's Scroll of Fate. And it did not eat a Force of Negation, which is nice. That's a Prismatic Ending. However, I don't care. Like, this card will have done its thing already. Like, I can lose that and then hit my opponent for 12 and be very happy with that. Yeah, we're good with the current situation. My opponent can draw their card. I'll crash in for 12 after no blocks. There's my 12/12. You're dead next turn if you can't deal with this. I'm just going to hold this in hand because, like, that can become a 2/2 later. There is a Baleful Strix. This tramples, so that's not a real answer. Opponent needs to find a Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending, and they did not. Dun 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 dun. Okay, I think I'm going to keep this hand. This hand doesn't have anything that happens fast, but it has a lot of protection and a lot of ability to free up my mana. Ooh, we are playing against lands here, which is probably not going to be a great matchup if I were to guess. There is a turn 1 Life from the Loam. My Urza Saga is not likely to do super cool things in this matchup. I think I still play out the Aether Vial this turn. It's possible I'm supposed to just play turn 1 Saga and just try to slip this in before my opponent finds a Wasteland. Oh no, or is it just like Merit Lodge time right now? Is it Merit Lodge o'clock? Ooh, it is Valakut Exploration time. This card is absolute gas. Alright. So let's always yield to that. Pick that up. Play out Urza's Saga. Put in a Tocatli Honor Guard, and then I can pile in a Mother of Runes, and we can work towards finding Dreadnought off of Urza's Saga if I don't get Wastelanded. Opponent did not dredge that Life from the Loam, which, like, definitely makes me nervous. Okay. There's the Wasteland that I was kind of expecting they'd have. Oh, there's a Punishing Fire as well. Actually, I don't care too much about that right now. That crop rotation does represent Merit Lodge, though. So that's a thing. And just, like, look at how many cards my opponent is putting under this Valakut Exploration. Like, they get to play these, and if they don't, it just hurts me instead. Like, Valakut Exploration has fallen off the stage a little bit in terms of popularity. Like, it's still absolutely around. Opponent just going for Field of the Dead. They are making long-term plans here. They're not going for the short-term win. Is it another crop? Oh, it's an Elvish Reclaimer. Sure, that's fine. Like, I can answer that. So, go ahead and let that trigger resolve. I'll take some damage. And yes, go ahead and put one of these in. I think I want to turn off my auto yields here. So I think I want to put that on the stack. Tap this. Yes. Put in a Mom, and then tick that up. And I'll Swords to Plowshares this. Get it out of the way. Poke in for a single point of damage. And then we'll hope to draw Dreadnought. Like, losing the Urza Saga was a huge deal. We've got Rashadenport and Recurring Wasteland to worry about now, which is not great for me. And, like, my Tocatli Honor Guard type cards are not going to necessarily do their thing in this matchup. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm not getting any incidental hate out of them. And the same goes with my cards like Thalia and Spirit of the Labyrinth. Like, they're doing absolutely minimal things here. I think I'm at the point where I've probably lost this game. Just in terms of, like, the raw resources that my opponent is representing here. The Field of the Dead takes over the game in about 2 turns. Like, I can pretend to do some stuff here, but it's not great. Am I getting tabernacled? I'm getting tabernacled. I think at this point, like, I'm comfortable conceding. I'm just, like, not going to beat that stuff. The bad news is that my cards aren't particularly great for this matchup. Like, I don't have cards like Rest in Peace. I'm playing Leyline of the Void instead, so that's less castable. I also don't necessarily want to mulligan to this in this matchup, because, like, on-board cards like Field of the Dead and Valakut Exploration will, like, just beat me as well, even if I shut off the graveyard. That's one of the strengths of lands, even though it's not a super popular deck right now. Like, the deck is very good at dodging 8. So, like, I can do Sanctum Prelate on 2. It's a little hard to cast. I can do Cataclysm, but my opponent rebuilds better than I do. So I just don't know that I'm well suited for this matchup. I do not want my Canonist. I do not want my Spirit of the Labyrinths. And my Thalias also aren't great. Like, I'm really hoping to do the thing and kill my opponent in 2 shots before they get their stuff going. In terms of sideboarding, I think I can think about these cards. And Torpor Orb isn't crazy since it's not a creature, but I don't know. I probably need the incidental damage. I don't know about Leyline. Just, like, doesn't feel great to me. Get these Thalias out of the deck. Let's play the Scroll of Fate to lean into the combo more. And these are the things that I can think about. The Cataclysm on the play is interesting, but again, I think my opponent just rebuilds faster most of the time. Need 6 of these. I guess I'm gonna play the Leyline, and I can Scroll of Fate it away if I need to. And then I think I do this on 2. I don't think I'm gonna play the Cataclysm. Yeah, this looks like a reasonable hand. There's a world where I play Urza Saga on turn 1 to try to turbo towards a Dreadnought. It's weird, because then I miss out on my construct value. I don't think I'm going to do that, but, like, I might be wrong in this decision. Like, it's hard to figure out, like, matchup heuristics on the fly when you haven't played any specific given matchup before. Like, I've played plenty of things similar to this, but this is a different beast from Death and Taxes. Alright. Urza Saga in, Hushbringer in, and now, like, my opponent just has access to Tabernacle at any point, which is a huge kick in the teeth. So is that, honestly. Alright. I have been considerably slowed down here. Wasteland was rough. I guess I start moving this towards 3 to put this into play. And I can take some chip damage here. I think I don't play out my creature. I think I just intend on putting that in via a vial. Now, very noticeably, I do go to 21 life here, which is an important number in the matchup because of Marilage dealing exactly 20. Fuck your Tabernacle! That means I don't want to put in another creature. It does mean that my opponent's mana is also tied up, though, so, like, there's that. And now this is just kind of gross. I'm going to pay for both of those, and I am going to tick this up to 3. I will want to do this if I draw another land. That is a good draw that I cannot currently utilize. So let's just take my 1 point of damage. It's slow, honest work. I would love to draw a Wasteland. Okay. Sure. Alright, so I've paid for both of those, and I'm just going to go ahead and always no to this Ether Vial now. That's a Dreadnought. That's good. So I'm going to continue to bash in for my 1 point of damage. And I think long-term, my plan is Pithing Needle Maze of Ith and get in with Dreadnought. If I'm willing to sacrifice my Mother of Runes, I can play my Dreadnought now and go on with life without protection. I think that's probably okay. Because my opponent doesn't currently have Punishing Fire up. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. I think I am going to mom, target Hushbringer, pick red, let my mom go, pay for the Hushbringer, play my Dreadnought, and I am just going to do that pre-combat. Because, like, I'm not getting in for damage anyway. Then next turn, I'll let the Hushbringer go, Pithing Needle Maze of Ith, and hope that that gets me a win. See what my opponent does with their Reclaimer here. They've got options. Okay, they are keeping it. I thought they might rotate and just let it go. Alright, so this is one of the first turns that my opponent, like, truly has mana. That's just fine. That's just happening. Alright. We do this whole song and dance again. I pay for the Dreadnought. I don't pay for the Hushbringer. And then I play Pithing Needle on Maze of Ith and hope that it's good enough. Alright. Here it is. Maze of Ith. And here comes my 12-12 Trampler. Like, I've made my bed. This is what I'm doing. You're at 4. Opponent may need to, like, make a Merit Lodge or something. I don't really have that covered as of right now. I can do it slowly by putting a Mother of Runes into play. Okay, the Oof has been paid for, as has the Elvish Reclaimer. Okay, that was good enough for the win. Tabernacle's scary. Okay. Pretty happy with, like, Thalia and Spirit being out. About the only other card I can think about swapping in is Cataclysm. Again, I feel pretty lukewarm on both Leyline and Cataclysm. Not that Sanctum Prelate is the bee's knees or anything either, honestly. But it's fine. Like, it stops Wasteland recursion and Punishing Fire recursion. I think I'm going to continue to run things as is. Oh, I don't have white mana in this hand, but I do just have a turn 2 Scroll of Fate that makes a Dreadnought. Is that fine? Feels fine. I'm going to keep this. I also can just, like, make a bunch of Urza Saga tokens if I feel like that ends up being the better direction. I'm going to be real soft to a Wasteland lock, though. But I think that's going to just be one of those, like, it is what it is situations. Like, if my opponent opens up on, like, Greenland Exploration, Life from the Loam Wasteland, like, so be it. Okay, that's nice. That means I probably don't play Urza Saga on 1. Probably just play Mom here. Then on 2, I can play Ancient Tomb, Tocatli Honor Guard, Dreadnought. Alright. Fuck, Blast Zone is so good here. Holy shit. So we just, like, have to pivot? Maybe I just have to pivot into, like, Urza Saga now. If I flip that Phyrexian Dreadnought, it's super bad. I don't know. And also just, like, keep that card face down and just treat it as a 2/2. And if my opponent ever drops Blast Zone, just dome them for 12. Or no, sorry. I was conflating my lines with Scroll of Fate lines. Like, is it better for me to just play Scroll of Fate than Torpor Orb this turn? Probably. Let's get Scroll of Fate active. I think I'm good with that. And if I do end up getting in for 12 damage once with a Dreadnought, I will call that a win. I can just die to Crop Rotation, though. But, like, none of my cards interact with Merit Lodge in any way. So, there's that. Do I attack for 1? Like, this Mom's days are numbered anyway. I'll attack for 1. Alright. Opponent goes to 18. Am I dead to Crop Rotation? Not dead to Crop Rotation. Elector Oof. Okay. So I'm going to tap Scroll of Fate here. I think I turned Torpor Orb into a 2/2. I don't know. Maybe I just put in the Dreadnought now. Let's just put in the Dreadnought now. Alright. Scroll of Fate is off. That is a played out Boseiju. No, okay. I guess with Collector Oof in play, that makes sense. I think I need to play an Urza Saga pre-combat so I can use its mana the way that I want to. Depending on how the rest of this turn goes. Alright, so let's turn Secret Phyrexian Dreadnought sideways and see if my opponent wants to play the game. They do not. I will turn this face up. Cost 3 to do this. So I'm just gonna take that massive chunk of damage there. And then I just want to play out a large number of artifacts for this Urza Saga in the future. Actually, I don't want to play out Vile. It'll just get caught up under Blast Zone. I think I will play out the Torpor Orb, though. That can sit and play and chill. And we'll see what my opponent can do. Like, if they find the ability to produce Merit Lodge, things are still a little scary for me. There's also some lines where they Thespian Stage, copy an Urza Saga, and things can get weird. Like, I have a protected 12/12 Trampler in play that probably requires a Blast Zone activation to clear as a starting point. Yep, that is happening. That's fine. That also gets rid of my opponent's Exploration. Yeah, so Collector Oof, you can come on in. That's fine. And then my tokens are going to immediately be out of Punishing Fire range. So, like, that's a thing. Force of Vigor. Alright, opponent is Hellbent now. So, like, whatever happens, happens. I like my position. I don't like that draw. That is what it is. Do I want to lose 2 life to play Vile? I think so. I think I'm just good with that. It's 1 more artifact in play for Urza Saga, and the 3rd artifact's really important because it means that a Punishing Fire doesn't kill my shit anymore. Yeah. There's the Ghost Quarter trade. That's fine. Pick up another land. And we're going to stare at each other. I kind of think my opponent fucked up. I think they were supposed to copy my Urza Saga or Ghost Quartering it. All right. Up you go. Aha. All right. So we'll see if my opponent copies my Urza Saga this time. Like, I've just got to play it out here. Yeah, they do. That's fine. Like, I am aiming to get a 12-12 Trampler. Okay. Things might get a little weird in the not too distant future. Does this go up to 2? I think this goes up to 2. There's just another land. So I'll play that out, pass the turn. And we'll see if my opponent does anything with their other Urza Saga. They do not. Alright. Their Urza Saga ticks up. I'm definitely a little nervous here. My opponent has a lot of draws that are very scary for me. Alright. So there is a 3-3. Will soon become a 4-4. I'll leave this at 2. Pretty much indefinitely. Alright. So go ahead and activate this. These are 4-4s. They're about to be 5-5s. They're about to be 6-6s. Sure, they're just copying up planes. I expected them to do that last turn, honestly. Oh, I see. They're copying it with that one. Yeah, that's fine. How good is Shadow Spear this turn? Shadow Spear is pretty good this turn. I also wonder if, like, Pithing Needle on basic planes is good here. I think just going for this trample wins me the game over the next few turns, though. Like, oh, fuck. Collector Oof. I forgot about Collector Oof. That's fine, though, right? Like, I'm still going to get to where I want to be here. So I just crash in with both of these. The construct block is required from Collector Oof, and then I get my equip. I think that's still fine. And then I can manifest this scroll into another creature. And I have enough damage that I'm not going to lose to my opponent producing a Merit Lodge. And I have enough lands that Tabernacle doesn't beat me. Alright. I don't know if I played that last turn right. I would have to sit down and think about it a little bit more. Just getting a 12-12 is pretty good, too. Alright, round 3, we're 2-0. This hand doesn't have enough mana to execute its game plan, despite having both halves of the combo. This is one of those hands that are just light on white mana, otherwise it would be a reasonable keep. And on 5, this is going to have to be a keep. One of the Swords to Plowshares is going back, and then it's the question of, like, which Hate Bear do I want to throw back? Canonist is a little bit more narrow, so I think I will choose that one. And we're going to need some help from the deck to do well here. Like, luckily, one of our, like, Torpor Orb effects will be good. A third land will be good. Like, we have a lot of options for various strategies that can turn this into a keepable scenario. Don't like my odds as of right now. Like, I have to play out this land, even though I don't have the third land drop, and I think since I'm hoping to funnel mana into Urza's Saga, I have to play Spirit of the Labyrinth here. But I'm bad against so many things right now. Just, like, not a fan. Okay. Alright, did not spike the land, unfortunately. So, the Dragon Rage Channeler is probably the thing that scares me the most here. I'm going to attempt to remove that around days, and then play an Aether Vial into days. Okay, nice, it worked. Yeah. How about this one? I don't think I get to attack with my Spirit of the Labyrinth this turn. Yeah, that's fine. That's why I played these cards in this order. I don't think I get to make this attack. Like, this card is just way too valuable to me right now. Like, there's some worlds where I've missed 3 damage because my opponent wouldn't block, but in the worlds where they don't have a Lightning Bolt or equivalent card, this stops most of their cantrips other than Expressive Iteration. Yeah, that's fine. Like, opponent very willing to make that trade when I'm not. Okay. They sat there and thought for a little while and then didn't play anything. Alright, I'm floating a mana. Aether Vial is cute. And maybe good long-term. Shadow Spear is nice in this matchup if I do actually get something into play. And Pithing Needle on Wasteland is also a viable play. I think I'm just going to get the Aether Vial for the long term. I am willing to just jam this card here, though. Like, if my opponent dazes me, they daze me, but, like, the pressure I am putting on my opponent's resources is pretty high right now. And I'd like to keep the pedal to the metal, so to speak. Because I am winning the race in terms of damage, unless something like a Murktide Regent ends up getting involved. Oh, that's cool. Like that a lot. So there's 5. And I have the potential to violin a Phyrexian Dreadnought once I have the other portion of my combo assembled. Real question is, like, at what point does that... Nope. Not now. That's fine. Okay. Does my opponent just have Murktide Regent and just completely invalidate everything that I'm doing? Real sad if that's the case. Alright. It's a small one. I think I'm going to leave my Vial at 1 for this turn. That's not a good draw. I can't attack with these anymore. Yeah, I'm just kind of stuck. I'm dead in 2 turns. And this is kind of like why I complain about this card, right? Like, I had my opponent's strategy dismantled. And, like, even with a single counter, like, that card just pivoted the game insanely. And in any times where, like, the ceiling is any higher than that, it's just nuts. Sure. An opponent, like, knowing the game is over is just, like, trying to set up, finding a lightning bolt or something to finish off in case, like, one of these gets blocked or something. This need to go up to 2. This probably needs to go up to 2. Yes. That doesn't do it. Yep, I am unfortunately dead in the air. Very disappointing. So, Leyline's probably pretty good here. And then some of this other stuff will fall into, like, the playable category. I do not want Canonist. From here, most of my cards are reasonable, and I just kind of have to decide, like, what else is coming out. My Scroll of Fates are a little slow, but, like, very annoying if they make it into play, and harder to melt down than a bunch of my other stuff. I don't actually think Thalia is probably that great here. Like, she's a fine card in that she slows my opponent down, but on the draw in particular, when, like, those Dragon Rage Channelers and the first set of cantrips can come down before she does, I don't know how great that actually is. I think some of these Thalias are just getting replaced by other hate cards that are more potent. And then, like, at that point, do I want Prelate? Prelate got a lot worse in this matchup since the printing of both Expressive Iteration and Murktide Regent. Like, it used to be that you shut off so much of the deck. Now their best win condition isn't shut off by it. I think Sanctum Prelate on the play is reasonable. I don't know that it is on the draw. This is a reasonable looking hand that is exceptionally bad versus Wasteland. I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. This hand I like a whole lot better. I don't know what to throw back, though. Like, all of the cards are very good. Every single one of them. I think it's the Scroll of Fate. Like, I can keep the Scroll of Fate Phyrexian Dreadnought Dream alive, but I think I will find another way to cheat that Dreadnought into play eventually. And I think I'd rather start this game with, like, Mother of Runes and Spirit of the Labyrinth, and then long-term work towards a 12-12 that just wins me the game. I don't know that I need to just, like, go now, so to speak. Bye, Mom? Yeah. Okay, so now the question is, like, do I play around days? If I don't play around days, I can start activating Urza Saga next turn, which is something that I would like to do. So let's not play around days. Like, if this gets dazed and I don't get wastelanded, I am good with the position that I'm in. We'll see. There's also worlds where, like, my opponent just has another lightning bolt effect. Yeah, that is what it is. Are you cracking immediately? Yeah, I figured as much. Sure. So, Spirit of the Labyrinth, just for reference, is more than one card each turn. The wording for all these Spirit of the Labyrinth, Narset, Notion Thief cards are all just ever so slightly different from each other. So my opponent, by cracking the bobble with the timing that they did, was able to ignore Spirit of the Labyrinth's restriction. Okay. So, Are we just getting a Murktide Regent? We are. Yeah. So, like, again, this is an air quotes bad Murktide Regent, and it's still just a turn 3 4/4 flyer for 2 mana. Which is very strong. Very, very strong. Beatable. Maybe beatable, but very strong. Alright, I can just play Caracas here, intending on activating Urza Saga a couple of times, and going from there. In the worlds where my opponent doesn't have, like, a meltdown or something, this Urza Saga will do some serious work, and the tokens will eventually get bigger than Murktide Regent. Alright, opponent grabs a Scalding Turn with that. Spirit of the Labyrinth probably doing a lot of work here. Oh wow, Murktide Regent is attacking. That's horrifying. Because I have a whole bunch of damage represented by the stuff that I have here. Okay, so they just have another creature. Oh, it's an End the Festivities. Sure. That is a sorcery, so opponent couldn't also snipe my Urza Saga token with it, luckily. So this is going to unlock all the cantrips that are in their hand. I'll go ahead and do this. Pithing Needle on Wasteland is interesting. I think I'm just going to grab Shadow Spear, though. I think I just want to do this, whip and get one of these out of the range of Lightning Bolt, and bash in with a 4/4 lifelinking Trampler that will be outside of Murktide Regent range as of next turn. Unless my opponent just like plays another one and grows the first one and I cry myself to sleep. Okay, so they are going to be able to make that the air quotes perfect brainstorm. See if I eat a Meltdown or a Murktide Regent. Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool. I'm definitely nervous. I'm very much hoping to see a shuffle on this Ponder. That's no shuffle. Is scary. Did I find Meltdown? No, okay, it is another Dragon Rage Channeler. Sure. Ooh. Alright. So let's get that out of the way. Going to resolve. And I can play Vile to grow these things. Rash in for 9 damage. Puts my opponent to 3. And, see if my opponent can, like, find a Murktide Regent or something that invalidates my awesome turn cycle. I'm looking to dodge Murktide, and I'm looking to dodge Meltdown. I feel okay versus most of the other stuff that can happen. I also wonder if opponent needs to be doing a lot of this stuff in their second main phase so that they can hold back Dragon Rage Channelers. Yeah, so, like, now the Dragon Rage Channelers have to attack unless they have a Murktide Regent to... Yeah, okay, oh, no, they have Meltdown. Cool. It's so hard to try and just continuously stay positive, when Blue-Red Telfer is as good as it is. Like, I'm taking another 6 here, and, like, now my opponent gets time to, like, cantrip and set up a Force of Will, or... Yikes. Yeah. Alright. So, I'm probably on very close to no actual outs here. I get attacked down to 4, and assuming my opponent has anything else. Yep. That's very disappointing. GG's. Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm planning on doing a giveaway when I hit 15k YouTube subs, and hopefully that'll happen around the end of the month. Anyway, back to the content. Okay, I'll be keeping my opening hand here. We could have a very long conversation about how to sequence this hand. But let it suffice to say that I'm going to start on Plains Vile and pretend to be 60-card Death and Taxes for a minute, and then kind of reveal that this is very much not the case. I think the mana advantage that this Aether Vial provides is going to be good enough that I want to just go this direction. And now the next question is, do I want to play Torpor Orb into Daze, or do I want to wait a turn? I think I want to play Torpor Orb into Daze and play Urza Saga this turn. Like, I have a bunch of mana, which makes me fine waiting, but I'd also like to start activating Urza Saga next turn, but I want more artifacts in play if that is going to be the thing that I'm doing in this game. That's fine. It's very good for my opponent, Now I hopefully get an active Mother of Runes. I might not. Opponent does still have Lightning Bolt up. Okay, nice. I got one. I think I'm just going to leave this on 1 for right now until I have a reason to tick this up. It's just like drawing a Dreadnought is so good. And unfortunately, we're chilling now. Dreadnought, Urza Saga, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Thalia, Wasteland, and Scroll are all really good hits as of right now. Yet another one, sure. Love this old art. Or I guess I can't really call it old art, right? This old style. Looks sharp. Oh, it's Predict. So this is probably a Ledger Shredder build rather than full-on Delver. Oh, my Thalia. That was going to be a good draw. Alright. So they get to draw their card. I'm going to continue to just leave this at 1. What do I want to get wastelanded here? I want this Caracas to get wastelanded. Well, I want the Ancient Tomb to get wastelanded the most, but I'm not sure that playing an Ancient Tomb actually results in Ancient Tomb getting wasteland. Because, like, if I play Ancient Tomb and then just, like, pass the turn without using 4 mana, my opponent is probably going to think that I mostly have blanks, and so wastelanding me becomes less attractive. I think Caracas is a good enough card to wasteland, but doesn't necessarily get everything done. Okay. Opponent's potentially on like a 4 bauble Ledger Shredder build. Alright. No action there. So I'm going to leave this at 1. Again, while this Torpor Orb sits in play, it's just like so good for me to do so. Yes, that's fine. And not great. Put that in play for the sake of Urza Saga. Now, in the deck tech, I was very much worried about the white sources, so I added quite a few more to the deck. This is a time where, like, one of these being a Rishadan port would be pretty huge, because it would keep my opponent off red. But as we've seen in other portions of this league already, like, it's very real that I will not be able to cast my white cards some portion of the time. The Urza Saga, unfortunately, was, like, the most important card to my hand, and it was wastelanded. Definitely starting to get a little nervous. And we're just going to continue to say no to that. Kind of whatever. Like, I will cast it. I don't really care about this card, and neither does my opponent, nor should they. I'm very afraid of Murktide Regent, though. And something just went on top, so they like something over there. Alright, they sent a Brainstorm to exile. It seems like they should have done that the other way around and sent the Misty to exile, so that... Okay, they have white in there as well. Anyway, and sent the land to exile so they don't have to do the Brainstorm pre-combat. They can wait on it. But they may have their reasons for doing it now. Alright, so I'm going to go to 17, and I can crack my opponent back for 1. Not a lot to be said there. Oh, opponent does need to discard. Discarding Swords to Plowshares. Makes sense. And you to leave that at 1. Oh, I like that. Like that a lot, because that can turn these excess lands into real cards. So let's attempt that. Technically should have attacked first, but that's kind of whatever. Alright, Days going to Graveyard. In case I draw another Scroll, I don't think I am going to play out these lands. I'm already playing a Scroll around a Daze, and like my opponent actively does not want Daze at this point of the game. But I'm just going to be dead in 2 turns to a Murktide Regent if my opponent finds one, with very little recourse for that. Yep, here we go. Yeah, I might just have one of those games where like I have a bunch of lands and spells, but I don't really assemble anything that's relevant. Yeah, seems like they do have the Murktide, in which case I think I am dead. Yeah. It's such a boring card. Oh god, do they have a second one? Okay, they do not have a second one. But this is basically my last draw step before I'm just dead. Yeah. Like a hit for 11 in the air, go to 3, and then either one of these kills me in the next turn cycle. So even if I source the Plowshares 1, I don't actually get anywhere. Okay. Okay, so what do I want to do in this matchup? I probably need ley lines, because I can't really beat Murktide Regent. Sanctum Prelate is probably not super useful here. I don't want this Canonist. Feels like a weird thing in the main deck. I wonder if one more of these should just be in the main deck over the Canonist. Like, this isn't tutorable at all or anything. And I think I might go with my gut from before and go down some number of Thalias. The Thalias are kind of nice on the play, but I don't know that I can cut any of my core, and like my Moms and Swords of Plowshares are both good. Roll of Fate's kind of whatever, but like in games like that one where I flood out, it's quite nice. I think I'm going to go down a couple of Thalias and call that good. I don't know on like adjusting Torpor Orb versus the other creatures. Okay. This is one more leyline than I want to have, but I would love the shit out of this as a 6-card hand, so I think I'm just going to keep this. I think I only put one leyline into play. There's like a Brazen Borrower to think about, but I think I just put one of these into play and hold the other for Manifest. See if that decision comes back to bite me later, because like that's a decision that I can't go back on. Right? It's not like this is a rest in peace that I can just cast later. Alright, force pitching a protect. That's going to slow me down, but I'm hoping that Leyline of the Void has slowed my opponent down quite a bit. Ledger Shredder would be spooky. Hey, I like that. So, I'll cast this Vial, and I don't think I cast Mom. It's a little awkward if this eats a Prismatic Ending, but, like, I think I'm okay with that. Sure. And that was no shuffle there. Oh, it's just a Volk, sure. The Dragon Rage Channeler. Okay, so I'm going to have an active Mother of Runes a turn from now. Ooh. This is very good. I don't think I can hardcast this here. I think I will hardcast a Hushbringer, though. Like, this card's not super good as of right now. I would be okay with this getting dazed, despite the fact that I have an Aether Vial. I think the Spirit's just too good. Ooh. Opponent is using a lot of energy on my Aether Vials, which is a thing. I guess I'm glad at the end of day. Like, this could come later when it could eat Urza Saga tokens or something like that, or a Dreadnought even. Okay. So, let's do my attack for 1. Again, not in any danger of this thing turning into a larger threat because of my leyline that's in play. And then let's see if I can stick this. It is counterable. An opponent spent a lot of energy getting rid of my vials, so like there's a world where that doesn't resolve. But this is not that timeline. Alright. What nonsense am I gonna have to deal with this turn? Guess I should pop this out. Oh, it's a Brainstorm. That's not good because of Spirit. Okay, I kept them from getting good value off of their cards. Do I attack with Spirit? I don't know that I want to tap this Mother of Runes. I think I'm not going to. Like, let's just kind of play conservatively here. Bash in for 1. I'm going to play out the second Mother of Runes. If in this exact turn cycle my opponent has an End the Festivities, I will be sad about this play. Otherwise, I will be very happy, because if an End the Festivities happens, I get to save both of these cards instead of one of them. Swords to Plowshares, targeting Mother of Runes. Well, I guess I will let them do this first. Oh, please don't have End the Festivities. It will be so fucking awkward for me. Alright, so I fizzled the swords. Man, why do I even talk about the things that can bite me in the ass? I just summon them. But I don't think I am supposed to go for the pro-red on the Spirit of the Labyrinth in response. Like, that's a very awkward play to make. I'm just randomly holding priority in my upkeep. I wonder if they have Lightning Bolt. I mean, I might find out when I attack. I'm happy to draw another one of these, because, like, not only is it just, like, a creature with a butt, but it also means that there's not as big of a blowout if I do end up casting a Dreadnought and my opponent has a Lightning Bolt. Alright. So opponent's cantrips are on again, meaning this expressive iteration is kind of scary. Not having to sweat it with Murktide Regent, though, is really nice. Okay. Wasteland's fine. I'll float a mana. Okay. Sure, that's fine. I don't have to worry about this thing randomly becoming a 3/3 in combat because of the ley line, so I'm totally fine just bashing in here. And we're just playing, like, bad, awkward hate bears. And without, like, these things getting bigger and without Murktide Regent in play, like, attacking for 3 a turn across 3 bodies is reasonable, whereas, like, it just, like, very much isn't in a lot of other cases. Ooh. That doesn't do anything right now, but that makes my Vials and my Manifest card notably worse. Oh, it does have Snapcasters in their deck. That's good to know. Oh, that Urza Saga is so good. Absolutely the sort of thing that I am looking for here. When it goes to 9, I just drop this into play. This represents the source of card advantage I need. Like, I'm ahead on board right now, but all it takes is one big gross card from my opponent. You know, like a Ledger Shredder. For my opponent to just brick wall all of my stuff. Okay, sure, that's all fine. Okay, it is another expressive iteration. Yeah, there goes a Murktide, which normally would just be absolutely insane at this stage of the game. Okay, cool. And Mystic Sanctuary doesn't do anything cool, again, because of Leyline. Like, my opponent is through more than half of their library at this point, but Leyline makes it feel like they're just hitting air. Okay. Combo. Yeah, I'll take the love tap for 1. That's totally fine. Another Urza Saga. I don't think I play that out right now. Like, I'm totally good with just bashing for 3 and then making a 1/1. Like, opponent's at 6. Like, 1/1s are real right now. Yeah, opponent is filtering so many cards into their graveyard. Maybe they don't actually have Ledger Shredders and I'm just wrong about that. There is a build floating around that just, like, wins with 4 Dragon Rage Channeler, 4 Murktide Regents. Maybe that's all they have. But, like, I would absolutely expect some sort of Ledger Shredders or Mentors, either main deck or sideboard. Maybe I'm wrong. I was out of town for about 4 days, so I haven't kept up with the deck lists from last weekend. Okay. I imagine that card is not coming in here. It could. Do I want to trade? I maybe don't want to expose that token to Meltdown, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Like, attempting to get in for 2 points of damage with this, or actually, I guess it would be 3 points of damage with this, is probably more valuable to me. Yeah. Am I eating a bolt on that immediately? No, I am not. Okay. So, let's do this again. Ah, it's a Stifle. At least I imagine it is. Or are they just fetching around Pithing Needle? Okay, they're just fetching around Pithing Needle. Fine. I have an Honor Guard in play. Or, yeah, I do. So this can be a Dreadnought. I will just make these things larger. Walking a little bit into a Meltdown, but, like, opponent's at 5. Like, this didn't get bolted. Sure, that's fine. Still puts my opponent to 2, and I have another Urza Saga for if I eat a Meltdown. I think I'm just good. Opponent has 1 card left. Yeah. I wonder if I am straight up supposed to mulligan to Leyline in this matchup. This matchup is so much easier with a Leyline in play. And, like, I haven't seen a Ledger Shredder type card. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna value Leyline opening hands extremely strongly. So my Scroll of Fate gets a little worse against Stony Silence. My Thalias are worse on the draw, though. Sanctum Prelate is interesting for games that go really long. Kinda like that swap. Don't think it's crazy to try to get the other one in. Am I supposed to cut 1 Scroll of Fate? I could buy that. These Sanctum Prelates are a little hard to cast, but there's pretty high upside if I do get 1 into play. Okay. This is An opening hand that will be very bad versus a Wasteland. Losing either the White Source or the Urza Saga sets me back a ton. And I saw how powerful Leyline was in that last game. I wonder if I am supposed to mulligan towards Leyline. Because I think when my opponent's on the play, I am just, like, very afraid of Dragon Rage Channeler. In the first 2 turns. And I'm also pretty afraid of, like, Wasteland here. And Arctide beginning on about turn 3 is spooky as well. This would not be a bad keep, but I think I want to mulligan. I like this hand, I think. This hand can shut off Wastelands if I choose to. Or can just attempt to just, like, jam ignoring Days on turn 2, making a Dreadnought. Or... I like this hand. Maybe I don't get to keep both Pithing Needle and Aether Vial. Like, I don't know. I have 23-ish lands in this deck. Maybe I can throw back the basic planes. Yeah, maybe I can greed it up there a little bit. Attempt to play both Pithing Needle and Aether Vial on turn 1. Sure, that's fine. The real question is, like, which one do I play first? Like, Force of Will versus Days. I think I play Aether Vial around Days. Yeah, cool. And we'll play the Pithing Needle on Wasteland. Right, and I have some degree of protection. And then if the Kotley Honor Guard resolves next turn, I can work on vialing in a Dreadnought. Oh wow, opponent got rid of an End the Festivities. That card's good. But, like, it's also a rarer type. Like, getting that sorcery into the graveyard may very much matter for them. So that's fine. File goes up. Ooh. That's good. So let's go ahead and cast my Honor Guard. Okay. Opponent is fetching. We might be in a double Days situation. Like, I pay for that. It hits play. And then if my opponent, like, taps this end of turn, I'll go for making my Dreadnought. Otherwise, I'm just going to try to sit on it. Okay, sure. That's fine. That's a Murktide Regent. That is a large creature. However, you know what else is a large creature? Yes. Dreadnought. Now I can go ahead and tick this up as well. The fact that I get the first attack here is pretty huge. I'll make my land drop. I will crash in for my 12 damage. Put my opponent to 7. I'm very bad against Meltdown right now. There's not a lot I can do about that. I can hold this Aether Vial back, but I think the game is decided one way or another within the next 2 turn cycles. And I think I'm supposed to hold Spirit of the Labyrinth, but I could be wrong. Whatever they just surveilled, they liked it and kept it on top, which makes me nervous. That's an expressive iteration. So this can find them like a Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending type card that can get rid of this. Okay, Ponder went into graveyard there. This is going to be tight. Oh, fuck, it's Prismatic Ending. Yeah. So... Man, I wish it was Swords to Plowshares so badly. Yep. Okay, sure. Cracking the Bauble. 3 card types in graveyard, so the Dragon Rage Channeler is not going to come bashing in. Situation is very much not good. Was really hoping that I would get to, like, catch a Ponder or something like that on my opponent's turn. Say no to this one. And then yes to the one with no counters. Okay, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. Timing's really awkward, though. If I play this out at sorcery speed, I get got by Prismatic Ending and Meltdown. Whereas if I wait, I get got by Swords to Plowshares and Lightning Bolt. I'm also unsure if I'm supposed to attack with the Spirit of the Labyrinth. Given that I am at exactly 9, I probably am. Like, prompting that trade sounds fine. Opponent goes to 2. I'm going to go ahead and do this now. And we'll see if I'm dead. Opponent has an instant. I am dead. Cool. That's a sorcery. That's a creature going to graveyard. So that unfortunately means that I am dead in the air. Yeah, they're just gonna cast some extra cards. That's fine, I guess. Okay, sure. And there's the attack for 9, and that will be the game. Yeah. I think it was Honorog recently who tweeted something like, yeah, brewing in Legacy is really tough right now, because you either get, like, buried by Expressive Iteration, or you can't beat Murktide Regent. Okay, final round here. I think I'm going to keep this hand. We're playing against a Yorion deck of some kind, which recently has meant blue mid-rangey mush more often than not. Like, my mind is gravitating towards something like a Lurin as of right now, based on, like, this combination of cards. Like, it by no means does it have to be that, but, like, that's absolutely the sort of thing that I am thinking about right now. Sure, that's fine. That's a Dreadnought. I think I'm just gonna slow my roll, though. Like, my hand's really good. If I can try to, like, knock my opponent off some mana here, and then, like, drop some things like Thalia and Spirit of the Labyrinth first, I can probably ride a Dreadnought to victory from there. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, so, like, now on some turn, I can just, like, drop Honor Guard and Dreadnought in the same turn. Let's try to get some metaphorical shields up in the form of Thalia here. And just make future counterspells and instant speed spot removal more awkward. Okay, pitching an Ice Fang Coatl. Yeah, feeling pretty good of my about my turn 1 called shot of this being Alurin. Let's see if I am right. It could just be that this is just a Yorion, like, control value pile. Spirit and Honor Guard. And if things don't work out, just start working towards Urza Saga. I think I'm good with that. I'll play Spirit first, and then drop the Honor Guard. Force pitching an Omnoth. Super interesting that, like, Spirit wasn't good enough, but the Honor Guard was for the Force. Alright, and I can start working towards Urza Saga now. Opponent might be just hard stuck in their situation, though. Nice. Okay. Minus, like, a random Snapcaster Mage, I'm not expecting very many things that could ambush me off these 2 lands. Not having to worry about Ice Fang Coatl yet. And now I will get this Urza Saga train running. I won't even have to damage myself with the Ancient Tomb in order to activate it. Okay, so now Endurance becomes something that I have to worry about in combat. I think I'll still continue to play out lands for a little while longer. I think specifically with a Swords to Plowshares in hand, I'm comfortable making this attack. Otherwise, I would not make this attack. Yeah. Okay, so there is the Endurance. We'll see what, if anything, my opponent wants to do with the trigger. Yeah, target me. That's fine. And then I'll just get that thing out of the way. Take my 3 damage. And then I've got, like, Urza, like, 2 Urza Sagas tokens and probably a Shadow Spear coming up. Dramunap Excavator. Absolutely. That's very good value here. So, like, my opponent is probably, like, a Yorion Green Sun deck. That's the vibe that I'm picking up here. I don't really want more lands. That kind of is what it is. Do I want an Ether Vial? Oh god, Pithing Needle Windswept Heath is cute. Because, like, my opponent has 2 Windswept Heaths and they didn't crack in response. Oh, that's super cute. I think I like it. Yeah, if anyone asks you why you split your fetch lands, it's that. That right there is the reason why you do that. I don't think I want to attack with the Spirit of the Labyrinth. Thinking about whether or not I want to play another land. I don't think I do. Yeah, I'll just battle with some tokens. Oh, I got super punished for not fetching. Okay, they do have another land drop to make from hand, though. Like, that's the difference between them being able to play Yorion this turn and not. Ooh. I think I go for this because if this resolves, these turn into 4/4s, which makes my attacks just like so much safer. I will play another land drop before doing this, though, just in case something gets weird. All right. Here's my attempt. Opponent floated white mana there. This, like, gets rid of the trigger completely. This isn't one of the ones that, like, counters the trigger. I wonder if they just, like, misclicked there. Yeah, opponent said I was supposed to do this in a different order. Whoops. Yeah, that's what I thought happened. Okay, so they gave me a few more points of life than they needed to. And now the question is, like, do I want to play around another endurance? I think no. Like, it just gives my opponent more time to actually find it. Ooh, opponent does have another source of plowshares, though. Okay. That is what it is. I lost some ground there. I still have Spirit of the Labyrinth at the end of the day. My opponent has a 2/3 blocker. I am at 33 life. Things are okay. Things are less okay, because this interaction is very bad for me. Drawing Caracas would be cool now. Yeah, play that Windswept Heath. Ah! Yeah, my opponent might be able to turn the corner on me here. So, like, while this Uro isn't drawing them cards, it is still gaining them the life, right? Like, that portion still works. No blocks. I'll eat some damage. I'll play this one because it counts towards Urza Saga. But I need to not flood out here. Like, I think I'm totally fine if I draw another relevant card. Wonder if my opponent forgot about their companion, just by the way. Kinda seemed me like last turn was an okay turn to put it into hand. Alright. I have a little bit of time. But like my opponent is currently on the correct side of the matchup. And I am just getting beaten by this Uro while my opponent sits there and gains life. Like, luckily they're not accruing cards as well, but this is still just very bad. Okay, there's a fetch. Okay, there is a Narset, sure. Not great for me. And a Green Sun. I wonder if that represents Collector Oof in game 1 scenarios. File can go up. I can't let this spirit go, but like this doesn't feel good. I just have to ignore that Narset. I'll take 6 more, put a 9, and we'll see what this Narset finds to torment me. Notably, my opponent does have triple Windswept Heath here. So like that Pithing Needle off Urza Saga did actually do some serious work. Okay, lots of land drops. I don't like it. I think I'm about to eat a Primeval Titan. Actually, that's just a 6/6, right? This is a thing. Now, that's still a real problem. Don't get me wrong here. And I'm going to leave this on 1, or if I spike a Dreadnought. Okay, so I can answer one of Primeval Titan or Uro. I don't know that I beat Primeval Titan finding Field of the Dead. And Primeval Titan has Trample and Uro doesn't. So I go ahead and get rid of this. And I think I still will hold these lands in hand, even though, like, Narset Echo is a thing that I guess could happen. But, you know, I have a spirit as well, so... Actually, I guess... I don't want to chump block in this turn cycle. I guess these can both go at Narset. I can get 1 loyalty off of Narset, so that Narset has to leave play if she minuses. That's a real thing. There is also this, like, Yorian just chilling, that if my opponent remembers it's there, it's bad for me. It's possible they haven't forgotten and they're just, like, waiting to, like, take it out of exile and play it in 1 turn. Alright. They have a Force of Negation. Okay, they do have Collector Oof, which also shuts off this land, notably. Alright. Life is pain. Again, this will stay at 1. Not technically dead. but life's real bad. I can chump block with Tocatli Honor Guard for a turn and try to top deck a Dreadnought or a Swords to Plowshares. The issue is, like, I'm at 3. These other creatures can also just start coming in. Alright. There's my chump. I straight up think opponent forgot about this. Alright, at this point, I am comfortable conceding. We're not gonna get there versus board. Okay, what do I want in this matchup? I think I like Cataclysm as a land destruction spell here. I don't think I like Leyline of the Void enough to play it. Containment Priest is, like, playable versus the Green Sun stuff, but it also shuts off my Aether Vial, which is probably a good card in the matchup. And I think I don't like that. Leyline of the Void versus Uro is, like, probably not gonna do what I want it to do, since I'm gonna be playing a bunch of Hushbringer type stuff that is just gonna make Uro enter play anyway. What's bad? Thalia? Thalia seems medium. Like, I don't mind her, but if I'm gonna bring in the, like, 3 more expensive cards, trimming Thalia is probably fine. I can consider going deeper on Torpor Orb, because, like, it's good against a bunch of the stuff that, like, Yorion would normally blink, and good against Yorion itself. I might do that on the draw. This hand has no land. Auto mulligan. Hand's interesting. It's not quite fully there by itself, but I think it's close enough that I can just keep it and hope that my resources will be fine over time. Like, drawing a Dreadnought or an Urza Saga makes this hand nuts. Alright, Vial goes up. I think I immediately just want to play Scroll of Fate and then just use Aether Vial mana for this next turn. That's awkward specifically if my opponent has Collector Oof in hand. Otherwise, I like it. There's some questions about, like, what I am putting under Scroll of Fate. Fuck me. That's a 2 for 2, but it's very good for my opponent. I don't think I manifest a 2/2 here. It's like, this is so important to my top decks. What about Basic Plains? Maybe I can go ahead and turn Basic Plains into removal bait. I think I'm fine with that. That was pretty brutal for me, though. Alright. Is my opponent going to destroy my Basic Plains, which may or may not actually be Phyrexian Dreadnought? Okay. So, that was choosing not to shuffle. I'm going to attack first and see if my opponent is wanting to do anything. I'm going to sit here in blockers for a second, like I'm thinking about flipping a Dreadnought, and then not do it. Oh, cool. And then I'll go ahead and play out an Honor Guard. I'm not going to take 2 and, like, very clearly telegraph that my last card is Swords to Plowshares. I think that would be a poor choice for me overall. Gonna be mana fixing? Yes. That's fine. I feel a little behind here. Like, I'm technically ahead on board, but I don't feel good about it. Go ahead and send in with these. All Swords to Plowshares in combat if I have to remove something. I'm going to continue to not telegraph the fact that I have Swords to Plowshares. Okay, no other movement end of turn. Alright. Something's happening. 3 basics now for Icefang Coatl purposes. Narset's fine. Narset draws some aggro off of my opponent, though. Man, I really hope my opponent doesn't have a Supreme Verdict type card. The Green Sun. Sure. I'm going to pop that out so I remember that. Guess I can keep this revealed. That's fine. Oh? How likely is this to resolve? Is this good to play? Huh. So if I think this is going to resolve, I'm supposed to just attack my opponent for 4. And then Cataclysm away. Everything. It's a little awkward that my opponent, like, somewhat likely has Swords to Plowshares, though. But what I think I'm going to do here is make an attack that allows them to use Swords to Plowshares to save Narset. I think I'm supposed to attack Narset with these 2, and Hushbringer with this. This allows them to Swords to Plowshares the Basic Plains to save Narset if they have it. Okay. Is this worth it? I think it is. Otherwise, I have to, like, start immediately dealing with things like Uro. Okay, I'm going to keep the one with flying, I think. I'll keep my basic planes. I'll keep these two. I lose a lot for casting this Cataclysm, but I'm hoping I end up on the right side of the equation at the end of the day. I require fewer lands than my opponent to operate. I think I'm good with this. It's possible, like, I should have tried to eke more value out of this, or I should have, like, gone for my opponent's throat first and gotten in 4 more points of damage. Okay, they do have a Dryad Arbor. Do I remove that? The difference between 2 mana and 3 mana is pretty big. But probably need this card to answer an Uro if my opponent plays one. So I think I'm going to go the Mother of Runes route. He has resolved. I'm just most afraid of my opponent just continuing to hit land drops. But, like, if this Cataclysm doesn't really hinder them, then I just, like, decreased my pressure significantly. Or relatively minimal upside. Life from the Loam? Absolutely, fuck me. That's rough. Yeah, this did not work out well for me. Like, I still might win. It doesn't take a lot for me to really spin this game well. But that Life from the Loam is just brutal. I would like to find a Dreadnought and end this game very quickly. My opponent randomly has Wasteland in their deck as well. That's not going to bode well for me. I don't think I'm going to ping the Dryad Arbor. Again, like, opponent having Life from the Loam here and me having a very slow clock means that, like, attacking their mana at this stage is not going to be good. It's going to be more important to remove cards like Endurance and Uro. Life's bad. Alright, my opponent thought for a while, then eventually played Teferi. I'm not overly afraid of this card right now. Okay. I'm just going to mine their value. That's fine. I can kill the Teferi on my turn. Not like that is going to just stick around for absolutely disgusting amounts of value. But my opponent is definitely pulling ahead here. Life from the Loam was rough. Wonder if I'm even supposed to use this Wasteland. Alright, goodbye Teferi. Gain my 1. I wish I had more pressure. If I had more pressure, I could, like, Wasteland this, Swords to Plowshares this, and feel pretty good about that. But I don't have an amount of pressure where I think that's appropriate. I will go ahead and snap the Dryad Arbor out of play, though. Like, if my opponent brings that back with Life from the Loam, they bring it back with Life from the Loam. But I'm a little more reliant on the top of my deck right now than I would like to be. Okay, opponent is doing some fetching. They did a little bit of tapping and untapping of mana. So they might have something like a Green Sun that they were trying to decide the cost on. Yeah, and I presume this is going to be just a 6/6 Uro that sits in play. Yeah. It's exceptionally bad for me if my opponent has Force of Will here to protect it. Oh, good. Alright. Again, though, like, this is very much not a real clock. Like, my opponent has so much time. They've got a Yorion chilling in exile. And even if I equip this thing with Shadow Spear, like, that's still not really an acceptable clock. And, like, this is a huge problem. Okay. So my opponent probably has multiple removal spells at this point if they are taking this line. Alright. I have protected from it. What's the follow-up play here? Oh, okay. Getting the Hushbringer out of play immediately. That's weird to me instead of taking out the Mom. I mean, it's a thing. I don't quite understand the logic, though. I'm just going to sit back on this. Oh, that's spooky. Don't like that one bit. Sure, I guess I should keep an eye on the graveyard as well. Okay. Life's bad. I feel like this deck needs some more card advantage of some kind. Because I've hit this same board state in multiple games where I'm just, like, sitting here waiting, just, like, hoping to get something off the top of the deck. That's good later, but not right now. So this Grist minus. Number of creature cards in your graveyard. Okay, that's fine. Like, that's currently 0. Now it's currently 1. Excuse me. So there's also this. Like, I'm not really in I'm trying to time you out situation, but I'm starting to look at it. Source of Plowshares doesn't really do anything right now. I don't think I can be taking attacks with these Mother of Runes. Like, Grist's minus is a thing. All the other removal spells in my opponent's deck is a thing. Endurance is a thing. Okay. Alright, I don't like this. Green Sun for Uro, it seems. I probably just need to Source of Plowshares that immediately. What if I try to time my opponent out? Like, I can Source the Plowshares this, or I can just, like, deal with it via Caracas. I'll deal with it via Caracas. Like, it just makes my opponent take more game actions if I let them click on that Uro. That's a real card. Alright. Please resolve. Damn! Okay. Little Mother of Runes that could is just holding the line here. Alright. So this will go ahead and sacrifice an insect token and then target Mother of Runes. And I will go ahead and attempt to protect, and my opponent will use another removal spell in response. That's fine. Now, these insect tokens are going to hit me for a decent amount of damage over time, but it's not the fastest kill in the world. Alright, so here's Uro coming back. And again, I think I just deal with this via Caracas and make my opponent take more game actions. That just feels reasonable to me. Alright, I go to 20. Need to not brick here. Like, if I can just, like, draw another Scroll of Fate in particular, that would be great. Alright, take 3 more damage here, go to 17. My opponent might have gotten wise to what I was trying to do. Okay, yeah, I mean, do your Uro thing. I am good with it. I am trying to win on clock, because I don't know that I can otherwise win. Alright, opponent is making more land drops with it. Yes! Alright, there is a Scroll of Fate. Killing me! Alright, that is what it is. At this point, drawing, like, an Urza Saga would be really cool. Like, getting some end-of-turn lifelink would be really clutch. Like, end-of-turn, make a token so that Grist can't just immediately kill it. Just crash in for some lifelinky trample damage. I'm eating a Primeval Titan plus Field of the Dead here. I don't think I beat this. Yeah. So that's Field of the Dead. Where's the flash? There's that fucking Primeval Titan. Get out. So that's 2 Field of the Dead zombies plus 2 more from Prismatic Vista. I don't really think I can beat that now. I just flooded out so hard here towards the tail end of the game. I think this is the point where I'm comfortable just conceding. Like, Grist as an onboard removal spell is just brutal here. So we end up with 2-3 in the league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not really that good. It felt like the deck is close, but not quite there. There's too many sequences of cards that you can draw that just result in you not having, like, the combo functionally. Like, for example, there's so many copies of this side of the combo, right? Like, there's 11 copies of these things that allow you to do something with a Phyrexian Dreadnought in a cool way. But one of the issues here is that the Scroll of Fate only does that if it is actually the Phyrexian Dreadnought, and when you just have, like, the Urza Saga to fish it out, that doesn't quite work that way for you. And while it's cool to have, like, some hate bears and other interactions, just, like, not having the density of the combo meant that I wasn't necessarily doing it quickly. And when we were playing against Wasteland decks like Blue-Red Delver and whatever you want to call the more mid-rangey version that we played, I think it was round 4, Like, whenever you're playing against those Wasteland decks that can just, like, disrupt the Urza Saga, which is, like, something you want to do anyway, you don't actually get to execute your combo. So, this is cool deck building. I don't think this is quite there. I would like to see a little more redundancy somehow. I'm not sure how exactly to do that, because I don't really think something like Enlightened Tutor is playable, and I also don't know that this deck wants to go up to like 4 mana for an Eater of Days or something without like Dark Rituals to help power them out. Like, those seem noticeably worse. I am very happy that I added more white sources to the deck. It did mean that I didn't have Port as a mana sink, which is something I wanted. But I want some sort of like thought cast type card that just gives me some more gas. And I don't know that it's actually like literally thought cast. It can't really be an enter the battlefield creature. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be, but I want something else to sink my mana into. I didn't really like this main deck Aethersworn Canonist. I kind of wish that was something else. This was a fun league to play, though. Like, I enjoyed the deck list. I just don't think this one is quite here. I also wonder if Cataclysm is supposed to be Armageddon. I feel like I probably won one of those other rounds if this was Armageddon, because like you have a bunch of creatures that you want to be sitting in play, and just like being able to just get in, destroy all the lands, and keep 4 power in play might be better than sweeping the Planeswalkers out of play. I don't know. Like, there's also decks like 8-cast that like you have to think about, where you'd probably be boarding in the Cataclysm as well. So, thumbs up for idea, awkward sideways thumb for execution. I like the design space that's being explored here. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. If you made it this far in the video and you're not already subscribed, just saying, I'm here every day. Have a great rest of the day, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.